Hello, YouTube and their crypto enthusiasts, and Bitcoin enthusiasts, and Bitcoin maximalizers like myself. Um, we had a bear flag yesterday. We have broken to the upside of this bear flag. I did not see too many people talk about this bear flag, but I still think it's pretty clear that we had a bear flag. Um, so what happened was we went down here. We can see on the RSI that we resetted the RSI. The RSI track the momentum of the traders. So when the RSI is high, this means usually that Bitcoin is overbought. When the RSI is below this line, it means it's oversold. And as you can see, as we were hitting the first dump here, then people started to go back into Bitcoin and buy Bitcoin, and they became bullish. And then for some reason, there was another dump here. I'm not sure. Maybe we hit the top of the 20 moving average here, because Bitcoin use was hard to see. Let's just remove this line. It's hard to Bitcoin use the moving averages, like the average value of the last 50 candles and the last 20 candles as resistance, and when it's above it, it uses as support. So that's a handy tool. You can see it up here. You can go into settings. You just search in the function bar for moving averages. So I do recommend to have these twos up, and you want to set them to the same. They automatically is set to the same as the chart. So if you're looking at the daily, you want to look at the daily moving averages, and on the hourly, you want to look at the hourly moving averages for 50 and 20 last candles. Um, so we went here, we formed the bear flag with the flagpole, which is a very bearish sign, but we came up here, broke both the 20 moving average and the 50 moving average. We went down, we tested it, and then we got this bullish cross right here, where the 20 moving average is going above or crossing the 50 moving average. We also broke this line of the breakout of the 20K, the average of the average like ascending line of the 20 breakout from when we break 20,000 in the Bitcoin price. And then we also broke this triangle here. If you see, there's a triangle between the red line here and the blue bottom bar of the bear flag. So this sort of form a closing wedge, or a triangle if you want. So then we just kind of pumped up, got rejected at the top of the bear flag, went down a little bit, and this is just a trend line. I can remove that. Why we bounced here, I'm unsure, because there was not really any support there, but somehow we bounced up here and we went above the bear flag. So we're out of the woods as far as long as the bear flag goes. We are getting overextended on the price, but I think this is also the market saying that they are very relieved that we got out of the bear flag. So people are bullish. There's a bullish sentiment. Um, but I do expect Bitcoin at least to go down here now to test this line. But we are setting higher highs, so I am bullish. I don't think this is the best price to buy at right now, even though breaking the bear flag to the upside is kind of a big thing. I would expect us to go down to retest this line here. But I think the head and shoulders pattern that many people were talking about, that did not happen. So we're out of the woods as long as for that scenario. So I don't think we're going to see 20 this time. We might go up here. Um, so what can actually happen is we come up here. We get rejected sort of at the 40. We go down. We retest this. We go up, and then it becomes alt season. Um, and then you should really research altcoins. I'm not an expert on altcoins. I kind of hate altcoins, and I do not believe in them, most of them. If you're going into altcoins, Ethereum's probably the safest play because that's like cryptocurrency number two. But I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. I believe in Bitcoin because I have a price model for it. I can. It's the Coca-Cola of cryptocurrency. So if I'm having my money in Bitcoin. Sometimes I gamble a little bit in altcoins, but it's more of a gamble for me than anything else because anything can happen with altcoins. Ethereum will follow the price of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum will lag a little bit behind and then do the same thing most of the times. But for me, Ethereum is a leverage play on Bitcoin. So, yeah, sometimes people are pulling out of Bitcoin, going into Ethereum when Bitcoin is sort of creating support and are a little bit stagnate. So that might be the best time to try to go into Ethereum, but be aware of that if Bitcoin drops 5%, then Ethereum is probably going to drop 6-7%. So it is feeling to me like a little bit of a leverage play on Bitcoin. Yeah, I see now we're going a little bit down again. So I think we're not going higher right now. We need to sort of create a new pattern. And I'm sorry for being a little bit late today. I got home yesterday from a travel. Now I'm going to stay home for 4 weeks probably. So I got all the time to look into to all of these patterns and post several videos every day. I'm not the best in the world on these pattern on trading. What I'm really good at is the macro stuff to see things that will happen long time in the future. That's where my skill lies. And I want to talk a little bit about the economy and what's going on and what we can expect because we had a crazy year. And this is really what drove me into cryptocurrencies again, or rediscovering cryptocurrencies, is because everything that's happening. Because what they've been doing the last year is printing a lot of money. And the thing we expect when they print a lot of money and when there is zero interest rate is for inflation to hit us. But that never happens. So the question is why? How can they increase? Because what they've done is they increase. I'll show you this later in the chart. They increase the money supply for with about 33%. Let me find the chart. So here we are looking at the Fed's statistic of M1, which is like the most liquid form of money, like deposits and travelers' checks and it includes you can Google what it includes, but it's like the most well there is M0 as well, but let's not get too technical. And M2 and M3, it's just a definite way to define what is money. Like M3 kind of includes real estates and all sorts of things. But the M1 is like the most liquid form of money, deposit accounts, and a few other things. So in like the beginning of January this year, there was about $4 trillion. Now we got about $8.6 trillion. So they increased the money supply by lending out a lot of money to the government. So the Fed just hands over 1.5 trillion to the government to do whatever they want with. That is called quantitative easing. And when they do this, we do expect there to be inflation because they just gave the government 1.5 trillion to spend. I think this number is even a little bit higher now because I don't think this is updated, and it's going to skyrocket. So what we would expect to happen is that inflation would go through the roof, but we're not seeing that. Why do not we not see that? And the thing is that the companies, they have cut their cost to the bone. Like crazy, they have cut their cost to the bone, and they use new technology in order to cut their cost. And when they cut their cost of their product, they don't need to raise their price of the product. So we don't have any inflation yet. But if you believe in this modern monetary theory, that you can do this forever, as there is a magic money tree, as most people call it, I don't. I think at one point the companies cannot cut the cost any further. I mean, they let a lot of people go. They stop traveling. They use Zoom. They take all this technology and they use that to kind of cut their costs so they don't have to increase the price of the product. But at one point, you can't keep doing that. You cannot have 33% growth in in efficiency every year. It's not just not possible. But in the situation we've been in, we managed to jump 5 years into the future, but we cannot continue to do this forever. But that is what the magic money tree people are saying. Oh, technology will save us. We're gonna have this rapid growth. It's the fifth industrial revolution. We're gonna use computer science. We're gonna use biotechnology and all this magical stuff to keep reducing the cost for the same amount as we are printing money, and we're just going to print money and keep doing deficit spending, and it's all going to be fine. No, no, it won't. No, it won't. There is no chance you can print this much money every year. And they didn't really. They started this in 2010. You can see at here we kind of have a healthy level of money printing, or the Fed lending money to the United States, but at one point it takes off, and this is here during the financial crisis, and things starts to go up like crazy. They're printing and handing out money, and the debt is increasing, and here it goes crazy. And now, with all the unemployment and all the stimulus checks and all the fiscal policies, this will just have to continue. Because there are still a lot of people um, that is missing their jobs, and at one point there will be inflation. I'm sure of it. If this continues, then at one point there will be inflation, and they cannot reduce the or increase the interest rate, because then all the tax paying money would just go to pay the interest, and so they just have to keep low interest rates and keep printing money. So what does this mean for Bitcoin? This means that people will flock to Bitcoin as a safe haven. This means that people will go to the stock market. This will mean that people will go to buy gold. So this is also making me very bullish on Bitcoin in the long run. Because if you keep printing money, and at some point inflation is going to come, we see the oil price increasing. That is making it more expensive for people to make, or companies to make goods, to transport goods, and this will drive inflation up. So I expect inflation to kind of shoot to the roof in the coming years. Maybe not already next year, because we're still just seeing 2% of inflation, but it's because the companies have shown tremendous ability to cut cost, but they cannot cut cost any further. Most companies have cut as much cost as they can by taking using new technology and firing people and so I think at one point when people are getting their jobs back and unemployment is falling, then I think we're going to see um, inflation coming. What they can do in order to check inflation, what they have done before, is to relieve the pressure of the what you call it, working market. So they bring in more people or move factories abroad. Because if there are unemployment, then inflation is going to go down. This is what was happened in the 70s with Margaret Thatcher and Reagan, especially in England, what they had around 10% inflation. So what they did, they closed all the coal mines and shipped them, and they started to buy coal from Eastern Europe instead, which drove the unemployment up, and there was no longer any pressure in the workforce market. So because if there is low unemployment, then you can just go to if you work for a company, you can just go to the competitor and you can say, "Hey, yeah, I can start here, but I want the 10% raise." And the competitor will be so desperate for manpower that he will give you 10% raise. And then you can just say, go to the next competitor and say, "Hey, yeah, I can start for you, but yeah, I want a 10% raise." And he will say he will be desperate as well. So that way you just get people get more and more paid, which is awesome, but it kind of skyrocket inflation. Um, if the opposite is true, then all the power is with the employer, because then you can't go to the competitor. You will never get a raise. So that keeps the pressure on the salary down, and that is very deflationary. And that is also what happened when they ship off factories to abroad, and when they bring in more people, that drives down inflation. So in order to have uh, low inflation, they need to bring in a lot of people or to ship factories abroad. And what happens if you bring in a lot of people? You increase the consumption, and asset prices go up, like real estate, especially stock market, because of increased consumption. Because if someone come from a low cost land or country to a high consumption country, they will consume more. So the people owning the assets have an incentive to bring in more people to the country. And all of this is very positive for Bitcoin, because if the inflation hit, which it have a high chance of doing at one point, because there will be a point where they face some resistance for bringing in more immigrants. I love immigrants because it keeps price price it keeps putting pressure on everything I own, and real estate and stocks and all goes through the roof. But at some point, the people that don't own anything, especially the younger generation, they will start to feel that they're not getting ahead. And you can see this in a lot of jobs in the US, especially. It's not true for everyone, but maybe like 30% of the Americans have not had an increase in salary the last 30 years in like buying power and like real salary increase. I think you call it real wage increase or something that is adjusted for inflation. But this makes me very bullish on Bitcoin. But enough macro talk. Let's talk Bitcoin price. So what I do potentially see here is maybe a bull flag forming on the hourly. No, not on the hourly, on the daily. Sorry. Because if we go up here and then down and then retest this line and then make sort of lower highs, while just keep retesting the bottom lows, then we might have something if we go to the daily and we zoom out, make it a little bit. Yeah, I should delete these lines to kind of make it easier to see, but let's just put on some tick lines. So we do this, and we find a nice color, maybe white flag. We need to zoom out a little bit more. So then we kind of get the flagpole here, or we can make a little bit more conservative flag and get it to be a little more steep. So then we can, I mean, we're not forming this yet. Don't get me wrong here now. And we need another line. So we could get something looking like this. This is one type of bull flag. Yeah, like, well, we are. That was not completely, yeah, but you get the idea. It's this line who is important. Or we can get something, depends on how high we go now, but it seems like that would be the most likely flag to form, or you can also draw them like this. It don't really matter. The because we're probably not going to break to the downside here anyway. It's just different preferences. Some people draw them like this, others draw them sort of like wimples, and here like that. So if we go up here and then a little bit down and then a little bit up and break this flag to the upside, and then the target's gonna be the flag pool taking us up to 55,000. That could be a scenario. This is not, we will watch this the coming days on the daily to see if we are forming this flag. So that is something to watch very closely. Another thing that's to watch very closely is what's happening in the in politics in the United States. Everything that is sort of like disabling or yeah, creating chaos, that is bullish for Bitcoin, because then people lose confidence in the dollar is crashing. That is bullish for Bitcoin, of course, and also gold and everything where you can sort of put your money in anything other than dollar. Another thing that is bullish for Bitcoin, well, and bearish for the dollar, is that um, when the situation hit us last March, people were putting money into the United States because it's a safe haven. It got the largest company in the world. It got companies that takes all profits to the company and share very little with employers, especially like low educated employees, because there are unemployment, as we talked about earlier. So people tend to bet on the United States companies in harsh times. What will probably happen once the situation is over is that people take their money out of United States and put them into emerging markets, and we will see a weaker dollar. That I believe, and that's what I'm doing myself as well. I'm selling a few. I'm still keeping my Google and my you know, the big companies, Apple and these companies that got huge potential with the rapid development of technology. Um, but I am sort of thinking about selling quite a few other stocks I have in the United States, because I think there will be more to gain in emerging markets like India and some parts of Africa. So I think that's it for today. We're just gonna keep watching this potential formation of a bull flag. We do need it to kind of go up a little bit faster, and we also gonna keep watching the RSI. The RSI is still not yet in overbought territory, like we were up here, but it's getting mighty close. So I do expect us to go down a little bit, retest some support levels, like maybe this line, the moving averages of the hourly at least. I don't think we're gonna retest the moving averages of the dailies, not yet, but yeah, on the hourly. So I think that's it for today. Have a wonderful day, and I will be back as soon as anything happen where we can make a short-term trade or anything like that. But right now, I think it's best to just watch for the big moves, and where Bitcoin is going on a daily scale. I don't trade that much on the hourly scale. I like to swing trade over days, and not trade on short time frame with high leverage. So that's it for today. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.